Hey everybody, Paddy here, and it is the second episode of my new show, TFN, which stands for The Effin' News. Now, in this ep, I'm doing a kayak and Olympics-free interview with Lisa Carrington, who of course talks about kayaks and the Olympics a lot, but we will instead talk about a personal journey that she is undergoing. I'm also going to meet a New Zealander making Aotearoa better using soup, and I'll be asking why female athletes' menstrual cycles have been completely ignored by the world of fitness until now. But first, here are what I think are the 5 news stories you need to know about this week and what's good about them. Now, the 3 missing Matakapa children are safe. They've been missing for over 2.5 years, but are alive and well. How good, even if they are in full camo and hiding out with their dad still. What is not good is that they are in the bush right beside the tiny town. They haven't actually gone anywhere, and our police still can't find them. Not good. Now, Wellington taxi drivers were speaking out this week about how the industry's been decimated by Uber and the economy. Shit has got real, and taking a cab is just not a thing anymore. But I want to say this. How good is an old school cabbie who knows their way around with good banter and a nice comfy car? We salute you and thank you, driver. Now, how good is it that I am not the only one out there that isn't fully insured? The government says the Manawanui, that's the boat that hit a reef, has the equivalent of third-party insurance, which is when you have nothing at all but a little bit for what you crash into. So that means $100 million gone, because that's what the ship costs. I was joking that this is good. This is not good for us, the taxpayer. Now, Donald Trump keeps doing Donald Trump stuff. Now, I saw John Key say the other day that he thought Trump would and should win the US election for the sake of the economy. How good that John Key is, 1, not American and not eligible to vote in America, and 2, not an expert on American politics. John Key is, however, a helicopter pilot. And number 5, there was a dark and sophisticated crime in New Zealand this week, an outrageous heist. A tiny house was stolen in Christchurch. They found it down the road with flat tyres and a couple of guys beside it looking cagey. How good? That's news for the week. Now today, we are starting the show with someone the country has absolutely fallen in love with. It's time for the Great Kiwi. Right now I'm going to do an introduction for a guest who needs no introduction. Dame Lisa Carrington is here. We all know many of her achievements, but today we're going to talk about some things she doesn't talk about quite as much, although they are achievements all the same. Dame Lisa, welcome to my show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
And Dame Lisa or just Lisa, what can I...
Lisa's fine, yeah.
But what about if I like Dame Lisa? Because I do like...
Well, yeah, if you want, whatever's good.
Yeah, Dame Lisa is good with me.
Yeah.
Now, my rules in here, and my rules are we are not going to use the K word, kayaking, for this whole interview. Is that possible?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that allowed? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the Dame.
Yeah.
You can...
I can pick.
Yeah, if you use it, but I'm going to try not to use it.
Okay, let's do it.
Because we are going to talk about some of your other achievements, which are right here in front of me. And I'm holding both of them, actually. And they are beautiful children's books. And one of the most interesting things, we'll talk about the process of writing a children's book, because it's a creative process, and that's cool to learn about. But one of the most interesting things is, Dame Lisa, there's 2 of them. One is in English and one is in Te Reo Māori.
Yeah.
Tell us why Te Reo?
Yeah, I mean, I have Māori heritage, and for me, it was just so important to be able to, pay tribute to that. But also I wanted to reach every, tamariki in New Zealand, and to be able to put a book out there in Te Reo was so special.
Yeah, and tell me about your Māori heritage. That's on your father's side, is it? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's right. My dad is Māori, mum is Pākehā, but she may as well be Māori. So my dad is from Gisborne, so reigning from Te Atanga, Mahaki and Ngāti Porou. And also I feel like every Māori in New Zealand is connected somehow. I'll have people come up to me in the street and say, we're connected through this iwi, or I know your uncle, blah, blah, blah. So, we're all te iwi Māori.
And does that play a part, not just in the book, but when you're using, and, I said I wasn't going to use the K word, but, obviously the kayak is a waka and all Māori are descended from certain waka. Does that play a part for you as well in that?
Yeah, I think when I realised that that, that's where we came from, arrived to New Zealand on a waka, and that is what I was going out there representing New Zealand in a waka. So for me, I think it was just quite surreal to think that that was a connection to my heritage. So it is amazing. What's so special as well is that at the Olympics, we named and blessed our waka, and Scotty Morrison was able to do that for us. So to give names and life force to our boats was so special.
Yeah, so there's literally a life force in those boats, of which I was trying not to mention, but we ended up mentioning. Yeah. That was one way around saying kayak. But yeah, you feel like there is a life force in there from Te Ao Māori.
Absolutely. I think if you look after, I think it's everything, whether you're in Te Ao Māori or normal life, if you're looking after the equipment that you're using, there's that sense that it gives back to you. And I think when you're going out there on the biggest stage in the world, to know that you have something from home, to know that your waka or your boat is, bringing that culture to the rest of the world. And those scary moments, it's such a beautiful thing and kind of comforting thing to go, I'm not out here on my own. I have this, I have my waka and my teammates.
Oh, well, that's really beautiful. And was this journey into the world of Te Ao Māori, was that something that started when you were born? Is it something that you've discovered later in life? How's that worked for you?
Yeah, I guess growing up, I grew up in a really small community, and so I went to primary school in Oporiki. So lots of Māori culture, within the school, integrated, we did kapahaka. And then also at high school, I was in a kind of part of the school that represented the school, and we did a lot of Māori, whether it was pōwhiri or we went to the tangis or, welcoming people. So there were always aspects of my childhood that were integrated. But also I think the hardest part is that we live in such a Western world, and to hold true to Te Ao Māori or to continue that learning can be a little tricky. So for me, I then went to university and have a degree in Māori studies. But for me, I actually think the best way to learn is kind of full immersion, being around it. So as much as I may have these credentials or I've done these things, I still feel that I have so much to learn. And it was so special when I was, when we were at Te Papa and we were doing the pōwhiri for my book, because that's where I did the launch. I was talking to the kai karanga, so the lady who was doing the karanga welcoming us on, and she was translating for me what the kaumātua was saying when we were doing the pōwhiri. And she's like, I was you 20 years ago. And I was like, wow. So to know that there's always hope. And she had a moko, and, she was so strong in Māori. And I was like, okay, that's so special to know that it's a possibility to be where I am and still build and learn.
And that seems like a goal for you in some ways. Yeah,
I don't know. I would love to just continue to embrace it. I think there's also that aspect of I don't want to seem like I'm doing it wrong or getting up and saying it incorrectly. But I think that's actually a part of it, is not being afraid to get it wrong.
Yeah, sure. And you're on a te reo journey, you're learning the language. Where are you at, or what?
Yeah, it's tricky. I think there's fits and starts. So, like little things I'll try with my dog Colin, who's in the book.
Everyone knows Colin.
Yeah, so little things like we do little commands and Māori, and then also I think there'll be a time where I have I am able to completely really dive back in. But I guess I feel that I feel connected to it, and it's just more about the case of me having the time to really start the fluent journey.
Yeah, so that's something you'd like to do when you've got more time, when you're not doing that other thing that we're not going to mention. But that's a goal for you, to learn to speak fluent te reo.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's, I guess I always feel bad because I'm thinking I haven't done it yet. But it is a journey. It's just something I have to commit to. Yeah.
And a couple of small things, moko kawai, is that something you would consider wearing one day, or is this a big question? Or
I don't know. No, probably. I mean, I know that it's something that you have to be super respected and have done a lot for the community. So, yeah.
I'm not saying anything. Yeah. And in terms of another thing I noticed in the Olympics, a lot of New Zealand, a lot of Aotearoa New Zealand. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I guess it's today is either or Aotearoa. I mean, it's lovely when you get to say that, and it's it's a part of your language. It's from home, and it's normalized. Yeah.
You like Aotearoa?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. You're allowed to prefer that.
I think so.
Yeah, and there's we'll come to the book, but it's something that sort of it's come up really, I guess, is there's so much white noise around te reo, around the treaty, around all of this sort of stuff. How do you feel about all of that?
Yeah, I guess it is such an interesting climate that we're in. And for me, I feel that it is my responsibility to just engage with Māori, whether it's, the language or I guess for me, I'm not so much into the politics, but it's like, what can I do as a Māori, as a New Zealander, as to just embrace our culture and love it for what it is. And so what I find is really special is when I can integrate it into performance, into sport, and share it with my teammates who are are Pākehā, and also Māori. So I think it's a really cool way, and also using the people that, I'm not the expert, but getting the experts in to help us. So that's been a really cool thing to be able to do, is kind of show that we can connect all of us as New Zealanders, Pākehā and Māori, and use the culture in a way that's really elevating and finds a lot of meaning and connection between people. So that's what I love about integrating it into performance. And it's a ritual, like you can bring in karakia, and ritual is so important for teamwork. Yeah. And
to people out there who are scared and worried of what they would see as the infiltration of Māori culture or anything, what do you sort of say to that? Is that...
Yeah, I think it's like I guess you've got to come back to yourself, and I can only speak from my position. And I think when I'm worried or afraid that something's going to take over, it's like, well, actually, who am I? What is my identity? And what can, then you're not so afraid. No one can shift you if you're strong in what you believe in. But also in the same, it's like, well, it can't knock you down either. You can embrace something because you're so confident in your identity. So I think that would be really amazing for us as New Zealanders, Māori and Pākehā, to be able to be so confident in who we are that we can embrace any culture that comes at us.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful, actually, Dame Lisa. Really, really quite beautiful. Now, as to the book, tell me about the creative process. I've been creating things for 25 years, but never something as imaginative as this. Yeah. You've obviously got a massive imagination.
Yeah, I think what was really awesome about this, and I think there's just so many lessons and techniques in my head about, how I go out there and work through challenges. And so really it just had to start with a complete, whiteboard session of brain dumping, what are the lessons? What do I believe in? And so for me to get it all out of my head, to then find a story that was really easy to tell and people could, take it on clearly, was a really great process. And I'm just so grateful. These are little lessons in here, and that's what's so cool, is that it was just finding some lessons and techniques that I could share. So, I mean, it's so special to be able to get it on a paper and for it to make sense.
Yeah, I've been trying. I do know that. I actually do know that feeling, but I've never done anything as cool as this. And if there is a message in here for children or tamariki or their parents, what is it?
Yeah, one big thing is around kind of sticking to something when things don't go right. So little Lisa, she has a big tumble in the ocean, and it's really scary. And, the ocean is a really scary place. So it's really understandable that, little Lisa gets a big tumble and doesn't want to go back to training and continue that goal that she put out. And so it is about sticking with it, accepting that, there are going to be some hard times, but they're okay. And just finding a way back to just turn up again, to not have that expectation to need to smash it and be the best. Yeah.
And, just as we move into the final questions, more books, more creative things, do you think,
Yeah.
Is there things that you can share with me that you want to do outside of the K word into the future?
Yeah, definitely more books. I think this has been such an awesome process, and obviously at the end of the book it kind of says, what's Lisa's next journey or adventure. So I think we're kind of at that stage at the moment of coming back to brainstorming what the next story could be. So I'm really excited to be able to do that.
Yeah, so more children's books. What about adults' books or things like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm happy for people to come to me with ideas of things I can do, outside of, dabbling in watercolouring or...
You do that too?
No, it's something I picked up while we were away for 4 months.
And finally, Dame Lisa, just one piece of advice for Kiwis, Dame Lisa. What, if you could give advice to Kiwis, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it would, so many, I think, would be to, if I come back to my book, I would really kind of push home that it's important just to stick with things when they just don't quite go right to start with, and believe that you can turn back up and keep trying.
Oh, that is really good advice it's great advice actually from a great Kiwi. Yeah. Thank you for joining me, Dame Lisa Carrington. And how did you enjoy your non-kayak interview?
Yeah, it was great. I don't know, it's a bit tricky talking about other things in kayaking. But
yeah, well, you did great. So that's awesome. Thank you very much for being a great Kiwi.
Cool, thanks, Paddy.
Now, the tip-off for this good Kiwi came from her son, but there were any number of people who would have said that Annie, who goes by the name Annie Amazon, is a really good Kiwi. Now, she takes food, facilitates donations, and gets food to people who need it, and she's been doing it for years and years. And we went and caught up with her doing the bizzo out in Point Chevalier here in Auckland. Get ready for some good soup. I hope you're hungry. How long have you been doing it for, Annie?
About 12 years.
12 years?
Something like that, yeah.
And what made you first want to come out and give people food?
I was a single mum. I struggled, and I don't like to see people struggle.
What do you like about giving food?
Seeing their happiness. Knowing that it's something good for them. Like, I never make chocolate biscuits or cake or anything like that. It's always soups and stews and pasta dishes and, proper kai.
And what's the key to a good soup? Because you know how to make a good soup.
Long, slow cooking, plenty of flavours, and pour in lots of love.
Good soup?
Excellent soup.
What would you give it out of 10?
Actually, I'll just give it a 10.
There's lots of love in your soup.
Yeah.
You love the people you give to even if you don't know them.
Absolutely I do, yeah.
And some of them have got a lot of problems, some of them are bad, some of the people you give soup to.
No people are bad. People make mistakes. And who am I to judge them, I think we've all made mistakes in our lives, eh?
We have. And what Annie is not telling these people is that she actually has real struggles of her own. Annie has cancer, but she doesn't want anybody to know. She wants to help them with their struggles instead.
The truth is, you don't want people to know that you've got your own struggles.
Look, nothing in comparison with a lot of people have much worse struggles than I do. There you go, darling. Hold it carefully.
Hey, mate.
Very hot. I'm just an ordinary human being. I'm just the middleman between the people who can gift and the people who need gifts. Someone's lucky day.
What would you like to say to Annie right now?
That she's the best.
Oh, you're amazing.
She's an incredibly special person. There's nobody that I know that does what she does. And she's so humble with it. She's so humble. And to me, she's just one of these incredible people that see needs and where other people don't see them. And yeah, she's just a fabulous person.
Much love.
You're so, bless you too. You're more than welcome.
Her whole life has been dedicated towards helping people, helping specifically poverty, addressing poverty wherever she sees it. I was a single mum with newborn twins, and she came to the rescue then.
So you think that she's a good Kiwi?
Oh, she's one of the best.
Oh yeah, she's a beautiful Kiwi. Well, look at the guys that were here. See, I stay in a house, so some of these guys don't. So having a feed today for them, you know, it's awesome.
3, 2, 1, Annie. I think you're a really good Kiwi.
I think the people around us are amazing.
Yeah, but you're a really good Kiwi.
Thank you.
Yeah, Annie, one of the goodest Kiwis, if that's a word, goodest Kiwis you will ever meet. And if you know of a good Kiwi who you want to dob in, who's making a real difference to the community, then email me on my nice flash email, Paddy, Paddy, @tfn, which is tfn.co.nz. That's Paddy at tfn.co.nz. Now it's time to meet two of New Zealand's brainiest Kiwis. I love bringing you brainy Kiwis. And Lydia and Esther are here from Femmi. They've developed a brand new app that's made for female athletes. I'm not going to tell you much about it, but I'm going to let the brainy ones do that. Now, Lydia, you first. What problem does it solve?
Well, firstly, thanks for having us. But we are solving a pretty huge problem. There is a huge lack of education and understanding when it comes to female physiology and psychology. Less than 8% of women actually understand how their female hormones impact them. Esther and I grew up as female athletes, and we really suffered in a system that just did not understand us. So, unfortunately, that led to things like overtraining, underfueling, menstrual cycle dysfunction, anorexia, massive problem, and it goes far beyond just elite athletes as well. On top of that, there is a huge problem around the lack of gender equality in the technology industry, and those two coupled together have really led to a place where only 1% of fitness software has been built for women. So if you think about that, 99% of fitness software that exists today has been built by men for men and really just does not acknowledge female hormones, the female body, particularly the menstrual cycle, or even how females want to engage with each other.
Okay, that is a big problem to solve. How are you going to solve it?
Well, we created an app. So we have launched the Femmi app in November last year, and the app really addresses that lack of education, the lack of training for women that's specific around, female hormones. But we at Femmi are all about being backed by science. So we have the most incredible women's health experts on our team. We have, physiotherapists, endocrinologists, all the way to sports scientists who are literally living and breathing, researching women's health every single day. So we have that team behind all the education that sits within the app. We've tried battling and getting this education into higher organisations, but we're let's just go direct to her. So that's when we decided, let's create this app. So within the app, you can learn all about your cycle, all about contraception, and then you can also get really hyper-personalised training around running. So that takes into account, how your hormones impact you, how to factor in recovery, nutrition around your cycle. It also takes into account what you're trying to achieve. So whether you want to run a marathon or whether you want to just learn to love running, that's all taken into account in the app as well. So that's how we're solving that problem.
Awesome. And how far have you got with this so far, Lydia?
Well, we've got about over 6,000 users on the app to date. We've got tens and thousands of community members all over the world. We actually have 15 physical run locations. So women across Australia and New Zealand, hundreds if not thousands, meet up every Friday, go for a run, connect, have coffee. It's a really safe and supportive space for women to meet each other. And we've just had some pretty amazing feedback from our users to date, everything from changing the way they train to changing the way that they feel about themselves and I guess ultimately changing their lives.
Awesome. And how big can this get? How big can this get, Esther?
I always say global domination is the goal.
Global domination's big.
Global domination. So, as Lydia said, we're predominantly like in the running market and working with women who are naturally menstruating or on contraception, but we have massive goals to get into other sports. Like the beauty of running is that almost every other sport, apart from like water polo and things in the water, involves running, right? So like you're only going to get better as an athlete if you improve your running as well. So eventually we want to expand into all different sports as well as all life stages for women. So like we said before, naturally menstruating, contraceptions and women without a cycle. But we know women, go through pregnancy, postpartum. They also go through menopause and then, puberty as well, like the first few years of going through that. So we have huge hopes and dreams to go into all life stages, all different sports for women. And again,
very big.
Global domination.
Global domination. All right. Good luck with that. Now, if you know of a Kiwi as brainy as these two who are solving the big problems or even the small problems of the world, email me, Paddy, at tfn.co.nz. Now, I'd like to celebrate a Kiwi that we have lost. Mandy Kingsbury grew up on a farm in Dorrie, a wee place in mid-Canterbury near Ashburton, and had a childhood dream of working in fashion. She got into making things at a young age, and a pair of black Dr. Martens were the love of her life. Her big breakthrough in fashion came back in 1994 when she won the World of Wearable Art WOW Supreme Award for her entry Magpie, a truly striking piece of art. A proud Cantab, she went global, spending the next 29 years living between Christchurch and Dubai as a stylist, fashion designer and artistic director, working with some of the biggest names and brands. In 2003, she began living with multiple sclerosis, which she described as a silent assailant that left her unblemished on the outside to onlookers, while inside she experienced blurred vision, inexplicable tiredness, numbness, weakness and cognitive problems. But this did not stop her killing it in the fashion world. Mandy was all about having a positive attitude. Attitude is a conscious choice, and for me is one of the few things in my body I have 100% control of. She suffered a serious MS attack in Dubai in June that paralysed her. At great expense to her family, she was brought home and died back in Canterbury last month. Mandy Kingsbury was 53 years old. Good night, Kiwi. If you lose someone, I hope you don't, but if you do, and you want to let New Zealand know just a little bit about them, please email me, Paddy, at tfn.co.nz. Now, every week on TFN, I get out on the streets of Aotearoa, New Zealand, and ambush people to find out what their Kiwi dream is. Now, on Monday, I met two people in central Auckland, and the first thing they told me surprised the heck out of me. It turned out I'd crashed a wedding.
My Kiwi dream was to get married. And I got married. I got married.
This was your dream, and it's happened today, just now.
Just now.
Wow. Yeah. And your dream? You can say the same.
No, just like I don't know, just be contented and be like happy, That's it. Life is simple. Should be simple, right?
In terms of life as Kiwis, what does that mean to you? Have you both born here, or you come here from somewhere else, or? No,
we came here like 6 years ago. We met in a very Kiwi way. We met in the pub. In Tauranga. He came up to me, and then we went out after 3 months, and then we just never stopped. And here we are now. And we are really, really grateful about New Zealand, because it's where I found him.
And where are you from originally? Slovakia. And what are you, New Zealand originally, or are you?
No, I'm from the Philippines.
Right.
Yes.
Wow, this is the Kiwi dream. It really is.
It's supposed to be a secret for another few months.
Oh, the wedding.
So if you won't put it for another few months, then
the wedding is meant to be secret.
Yeah.
Too late now.
I mean, you can put it up. You don't know our name, so it's okay. It's okay, just put it up.
Yeah, to camera.
All right, well, I promise not to crash another wedding, not next week at least. We'll see you with the next episode of TFN, the FN News. Goodbye, Kiwis.